Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports Podcasts. I'm your host Josh. To my right is Bash _Bo3 Sam, and to our farthest right is Ice Cube.
Hey.
Let's go, guys. There's some bad news today, man. There's some bad news. Rex is MIA. So this is coming out a day late. Okay, so what happened was basically we were trying to make sure that Rex could do this. He's in the process of moving right now. And the new apartment they're moving to, there's renovation problems, and so he's not able to record tonight, and it's all an absolute shamble right now. It's shambles. And we know Rex would probably intro this podcast normally with something about an ice cube, so we thought, why not replace Rex with the best ice cube we could find?
Yeah. So
it's looking crystal clear.
It
but
is. Before
we get anything else, guys, I gotta ask, Sam, what's going on?
Okay, so Ice Cube. I'm feeling like an ice cube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
but it's missing something.
Oh no!
The foundation of the freezer. It's not supporting me.
No, it's like you're the ice cube that fell out of the rack when you were pulling them all out.
And then it's like the ice cube where you contemplate: do you stoop down to pick it up, or do you just kick it under the fridge? That is how I'm feeling. So yeah. Rex, this goes out to you. Your absence makes me feel like an ice cube that lives under a fridge for the duration of its life.
Nice. Well, guys, we got a lot to talk about today, man. I mean, tons of news and topics this week. Some pretty insane ones, actually. Yes. Some like legitimate, real-on news this week in the CoD scene, and a lot to talk about. Of course, we're doing predictions this week for CDL New York. So we're going to be talking all about that and going over the news of the week, which was a ton of news. So we're going to spend a lot of time on that. And we got a little news segment on the podcast today. Before we get anything else, I do want to read at least one review. We got to read some reviews. Shout out to you guys who are dropping all of the fire reviews over here on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Of course, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Per usual. But Lower Jersey says, hey, I really love watching you guys. As someone who's new to competitive COD, you guys make it easy for me to follow it. Also, who do you think is the best sniper, AR, and SMG player in Call of Duty League right now? So he's asking straight questions. Like right now, best AR, SMG, apparently all three. Best AR, 5, 4, 3. Best SMG, 5, 4, 3.
Simp.
Best sniper, 5, 4, 3. Wuskin's best sniper.
Absolutely.
Best AR, give me Octane still. And best SMG. I'm going to have to take all my opportunities here while Rex is gone to shoot shots here today.
Envoy.
Envoy's best SMG. Or Max the best. I don't know. No, but yeah, so we'll go with that. But thank you, Lower Jersey, with the review. And we'll be reading even more of them in the future as well. But we want Rex to be here for as many as possible, of course.
Of course.
All right. So we got a pretty interesting segment today. It was our first segment of the day. And this is something we haven't done before, man. We're excited to announce that we've got our first sponsor on the podcast.
Woo.
So this is exciting news, to say the least. And we got to shout out the company themselves, Midnight. All right. So Midnight is they make esports betting easy. They're a esports betting website, and it allows you to level up your esports betting. So basically, we're going to be going through some of their odds this week and just talk about what our favorite pick is for the week, and go over their odds. You can go check them out. And they're doing a bet 25, you get a free 5 right now offer. So if you go sign up, use code Salvation. And support us here. So we appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
And let's get into it. So Sam, looking at these odds, we got, of course, the 4 matchups. We're going to talk about more about these predictions later on. But when you look straight at the odds themselves, so we got Toronto Ultra versus Paris Legion, Chicago Huntsmen versus London Royal Ravens, LA Guerillas versus Atlanta FaZe, and the Minnesota Rokkr versus New York Subliners to kick things off here.
Yes.
So when you're looking at the odds, looking at here, I mean, they're seeing the odds too. So what odds stick out to you, like when you're glancing at it?
Yeah. Well, my initial thoughts are with Atlanta FaZe versus LAG, it's pretty much a free whatever you bet. Take it out times 1.14. That's what you're getting. That's pretty. I mean, bar all crazy, whatever.
Yeah.
pretty much FaZe is going to win that match. However, the really interesting one here is Ultra versus Paris Legion. Paris with the 4.0 odds. So you're telling me if I put down $10, I potentially get $40
in return.
And I'm not okay. Obviously, Ultra is probably going to win here, but I wouldn't totally count Paris out.
Toronto's, we're going to be talking about it, but Toronto's again changed with the rosters.
With the new meta.
I'm not totally hyped about Paris, though.
No, absolutely not. However, it is the most exciting one to possibly win big.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I think the Huntsman Royal Raven one's interesting because the Royal Ravens are like, they're decent underdogs in that matchup. Yeah. I mean, Huntsman have looked really, really good, especially with these scrims. We're going to talk about that in today's episode overall.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, but I mean, though honestly the two most interesting ones to me are either Huntsman, London Royal Ravens, or Rokkr or Subliners, because like the Subliners aren't like really heavy favorites in that matchup, and so I'm pretty confident that New York's going to take that one.
You would think so. Yeah.
All right. So what's your final pick here? What one would you like if you had to put down cash right now?
I'll be honest with you. At my stage of life, I probably wouldn't take the most risks right now.
Yeah.
I'll probably put down the FaZe LAG. take my free cash.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, but that's probably what I'm going to do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So you're playing it safe.
I'm playing it
safe.
You're playing it
safe.
I am.
The Paris one's that's a gutsy one.
It really is.
I mean, I'm by no means confident in Toronto, but I'm the opposite of confident in Paris. So I'll go with the Subliners as the favorites against the Rokkr and take my bets there because it's still decent odds at that point to win some cash. So I'm down.
Yeah.
But again, shout out Midnight. Use code Salvation, and help us out here. So we do appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
Shout out Midnight for doing that. And you'll probably be hearing more about them in the upcoming few weeks as well, which is pretty exciting. So thank you, Midnight, and go show them some love. We got to talk about the news, which means we got to segue into the news. So without further ado,
here we go.
Let's talk some news.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
Let's go. We can barely hear. We don't have earbuds in because we're not talking with Rex today, so we could barely even hear it. It was like a little muffled sound in the background because it's going through the headset over there. But so we were like barely hearing it, which is why it was
still
a
cool.
little weird.
It's still cool.
But it was dope. I mean, I know you guys loved it, obviously. Yeah. But all right. So wow, there's a lot of news today. Let's start off. Do you want to start off with the hot news?
Yeah.
Kind of like the leading news. It's involving Momo and Benson. And supposedly for separate reasons, they are not going to be working with the Call of Duty League anymore. So we know for a fact that Momo is for sure not working with the Call of Duty League anymore. Benson hasn't officially announced it yet, but he's removed it from his bio. And he said he's received some incredible offer that like is basically life-changing and, a lot of things. Let's start. Do you want to start with Momo or Benson?
Let's do Momo just to get
that one out of the way.
Crazy one out of the way.
Okay, so if you guys have kind of been under the rock for the past week or so, I mean, so basically sexual harassment allegations came out against Momo from a group of a handful of women in the esports scene, and basically like apparently put out a pretty good case that like in some way Momo was, infringing on their privacy or in some situation like that. It wasn't exactly clear because we don't really know how the harassment played out. Momo kind of made a statement himself and said like it was very forward messages mostly on Twitter. So that was kind of like how he stated it, and he's disappointed that he got fired, and it's a shame that has to happen like that for both parties. Like, of course, if something horrible happened like this, like these types of things are always iffy in the world, and it's sometimes hard to sift through what's true and what's not. But I mean, in this situation, I think they said seven people came forward
it was a good amount.
And submitted information to Activision, and only one came out publicly. So Activision apparently went through all this information and they decided that it was worth enough to fire Momo from the CoD League. So there will be no more Miles and Momo duo anymore. And paired with that is that it seems like Benson's leaving as well. We don't know if Benson's still going to be casting this weekend and then like that's going to be the end of it, or like if he's going to finish out this season and then cast it. But he did remove it from his bio, and now he just says he's like an esport comm, and so it is a weird situation.
Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah, for sure. Definitely weird. I do know Benson did have like a stint with some soccer.
The MLS.
MLS. So that could be where his passion lies. And
yeah, soccer.
And that could be where
football, of course.
Football.
To many of you out there.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah. So, yeah, that could be it. Again, we don't know for sure. We just know that he removed CDL talent, whatever it was from his bio. So that's really going to suck if he is going away from esports.
Yeah, Benson's been a staple of competitive CoD commentating.
Competitive CoD, and not to mention he's also commentated Halo. He's commentated Gears too, which for those who watch that too. So I feel like he's well known.
Anything
in the esports.
MLG's been doing, he's been a part of it.
Yeah, so that is going to be kind of hard to lose him. But that also goes into, are we going to see Miles and Chance duo?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. It's like that's what we're not sure of. Like if he's gonna, we're gonna have to keep up to date on that news and whether or not Benson's actually going to be there this weekend. We're not exactly sure yet, which has been a weird situation. But yeah, are we going to see a Miles and Chance combo there?
That'd be interesting.
Or there's rumors that potentially Nameless and maybe Study are getting brought. Like, cause Study has been on the talent desk before, back with MLG and, obviously X Pro. So maybe they come out as a duo for casting, and then you got Miles and Chance doing their thing. But there is a world where we just literally have Merc and Maven and Miles and Chance this weekend, which is possible, I guess.
Definitely, yeah. And like I will say, Miles and Chance would technically work, as Miles is more of the entertainment, and then Chance would be your kind of stats guy, kind of like the hard analysis.
Yeah, it could work.
It could work. It would be weird though to see those two paired together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be like mad about it if we just saw those two. But it will be interesting to see if they do start like trying to find new people to replace.
Yeah. Well, right, and that's the thing. Like, if Nameless is this a permanent move for Nameless if it ends up being the case?
Yeah.
Or is it just a temporary thing?
Definitely.
I mean, I've seen like I hold Shift's name thrown around out there, and a lot of other guys like maybe Lando or some other guys like that being thrown out there as potential names for the future of CoD commentating. So we'll see. That'd be really interesting.
How about Bryce Tacular?
Shout out.
Yeah. Shout out. Mr. X. I don't know where you're at. I kind of forget where you're at. Honestly.
Yeah.
But so maybe we'll see some of these classic names come back. I don't know.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, CDL.
CDL.
Hit me up.
Hey, SalvationsElite right here.
Elite, bro. Nah, but overall, that is something we're going to have to continue to keep an eye on when it comes to the casting itself. Obviously, the next massive piece of news is it's a little disappointing.
My heart hurts.
But Champs is going to be online. And like, I think we all get it. Like, we all understand why the world, it sucks. It just sucks. Nobody really wants this, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, before we get into it, like, what are your thoughts on it? And like, and before we even talk about the pro outrage as a whole about this, because there was a lot of opinions out there, to say the least.
I do want to say, I think you hit it like right on that. I think it was pretty much expected that like for the time frame of August, it's just the way the world is and how big of a business the CDL is right now. I don't think they can have that liability of potentials. A pro gets COVID.
Yeah, like when they have the option to play online.
Yes, and so I think, and like we're gonna get into this too. Is just they obviously stated player safety, right? But then just going into it, kind of touching into it, is I think we're going to see a lot of players move.
At least temporarily.
Temporarily to get to better servers, right? And so then the question asked is, are they being safer?
Or forcing players to go out on their own? Forcing players
to go on their own. And so it's just this weird, like, they did make it safer by forcing for the brand to be home, but I think everyone knows that players for 2 million or 4 million plus prize pool, 2 million for first
400,000 a piece.
I'm going to move to the best server possible.
Yeah.
And so are they going to be the same risk for COVID if they just go to LAN then?
Right.
I'm not
the whole debate was like, oh man, it's like, with all sports opening up, I got excited. I was like, oh,
here we go.
We have a chance.
Yeah.
UFC fight this dude, big UFC on Fight Island this weekend, and like so much else going on. And you got the NBA starting up, the MLB starting back up, NFL and college football look like they're probably going to get going. Mm-hmm. So I got my hopes up for sure. But I mean, again, they don't have an option to play a completely safe online situation like CoD League does. So that's the trade-off. But again, the question is like, it does put some pros in a tough situation. And that's kind of where Slasher was coming from with his like kind of debate on Twitter. And obviously a handful of pros. I think Slasher and Octane seem to be the two most outspoken pros on Twitter, not in favor of the decision.
Yes. I
mean, Slasher was, vying for a delay. Mm-hmm. I don't really. That's where I don't really necessarily see it as possible.
Delay would be really hard.
Like what, you delay till the end of September?
Even then, though, it's like if you're gonna delay it, they would probably like delay it until like further notice of like complete like clearance.
But it's like never. It's never gonna happen.
That'll never happen.
Not in the near future.
Yeah, and so I think what some pros might have been, thinking too is, would it be possible to have a super long LAN cable? You like put each team in like separate rooms.
Every player has their own hotel room.
Exactly. Like they don't need a stage. They don't need anything. They just want to be able to play the fair connection. And so, is there a safe way where players can be completely separated, have 5 players plus a coach, and just play separate in like totally separate rooms? Maybe it's possible, but again, like I know I'm no health expert, and people would rather just not even deal with that kind of thing.
Right. I mean,
it's just a weird situation.
How was this? I guess we can talk about how it was decided. It was decided by an owner's vote, which Hex talked about on their podcast with Andy Miller. But no free shoutouts. But they said that basically they thought it was gonna be a really close vote. Yeah. And they weren't sure if it was going to be like 6-6 and like then the league would come in and be the tiebreaker or how that would play out. And so apparently it must have been really, really close, like a 5-7 or a 6-6 with a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
And it ended up being decided that way. So we were really close to having it on LAN. I would have been really interested to see what their plan would have been.
Yeah.
And like, in my opinion, there's ways to make it happen that like it would have been fairly safe, I think. Yeah. But I'm no health expert. So.
No, yeah, and that's the hard thing too. Is like, I think the whole Call of Duty community is just sharing their frustrations, but at the end of the day, we don't really know.
No one really knows
what's going on, and so it's a very just sucky situation.
It blows, dude. It sucks.
So, do you think I heard this one too? Is should they have reduced the prize pool?
See, now that's interesting.
Because then it's like, okay, then there's less on the line. There's less reason to put yourself in harm's way of moving via public transportation. Just thinking of risk to COVID. Maybe you make the whole thing $500K total prize pool, and then like I think it was either Slasher or Looney said, do you put the rest into next year? Like,
right?
I don't know. So
Discord.
I think that's me.
That's your. Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
Muted.
Amateur hour here.
Amateur.
Wow.
My bad.
No, but I mean, I don't know. I don't love that idea because it feels really unfair to teams that have been grinding this whole year. Like if you're, let's say, your shot seats, your first year in the CoD League, like it's not your fault it's your first year in the CoD League. Like, and like for guys who are on the fringe who maybe this year they have a contract, but maybe the next year they won't. Like some of the Toronto guys or the Paris guys, like, this might be their only chance they get at any shot at having this big prize pool. It'd be really unfair to them just because of circumstances they literally have no control over, that they don't get a chance at the big prize pool. Yeah. I don't know. In my opinion, like, because now we've been online this whole time, and like they did say, I guess what we compare that together, like they're gonna have more precautions for anti-cheating situations, and some of the pros were talking about that they were gonna do things that would help prevent any type of potential cheating. So like have hand cams potentially, and other things to help watch that type of stuff, which I guess is a good idea.
Yeah, like honestly, like we don't even need like player cams. Just point the camera down
at their hands.
At the hand, honestly.
But now they gotta play with pants on, bro.
Yeah. How many players are just playing in boxers?
Yeah, how many players are playing without their pants?
I can totally see it.
Some of them are just just throwing fists now, like, oh
crap! Gotta
put freaking pants.
Gotta put on some pants or something. That would be funny.
No, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of the whole reduced prize pool thing, and like at the end of the day, you just kind of got to deal with the hand that's given to you. And but I do think a lot of players are going to move to Texas or
how do you
Florida.
not? How do you not? At a chance of 400K.
You're gonna go rent out the apartment right next to Awakening.
Yeah.
You're like, yo,
What's
Awakening,
up?
I found the apartment right next to yours, homie.
What's gonna happen is everyone's gonna move to like the same complex, and then it's like you might as well put land.
Anyway.
I mean, honestly, but yeah, no, I mean, just imagine, round 5 or game 5, round 11. Someone lags out. Chance for 400K. Like it just seems so like it shouldn't happen.
I really hope it doesn't affect. I hope it doesn't affect like the interest. I'm worried it's going to.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is like, will this like make it less of a, will people not want to watch it because it's online, and that's gonna hinder next year's growth.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the question. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, again, the average casual out there does not know the difference between LAN and online and how big of a difference it actually makes.
Yes.
Where like literally, 20 ping could literally be the difference between you winning a gunfight and you not, and it's solely based off the connection.
Yeah.
Like that's, I mean, as a pro, nothing's more frustrating. I mean, if you're Slasher and you're getting smoked because you're on 90 ping constantly playing against Florida, who's on 40.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're frustrated. Yeah. I'm sure you're frustrated.
Absolutely. Because at that point too, it's like you located somewhere where you were supposed to be, and then it's the server locations were just not in your favor.
Right.
And nothing you can do about it.
The org that you signed to required you to move there. And Florida's didn't. And so now you're pissed. I mean, that's where pros are at with it right now. They're like, yo, seriously, just because Florida didn't move. They're, like that's where some pros legitimately think. I don't necessarily believe that, but they've been playing really good Call of Duty overall anyway.
I know.
But it's just like, that is what some pros actually think. And they discredit them because of that. So, I don't know. I mean, that's going to be a conversation we're going to have moving forward towards champs is, I mean, it would have been a weird transition going from all these online events, then right back to LAN for the final event. So like in that argument, I'm like, well, at least now it's consistent for the rest of the year. Where in like that, because like maybe it would have felt fluky on LAN.
It would have been a weird.
What if now suddenly Paris is great again on LAN? And you're like, what happened?
And they win.
Or the Rokkr.
Yeah.
The Rokkr or Paris are now literally amazing again because they're back on LAN, and everyone's like, well, what in the world did we just watch the past 2 months?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I guess that's kind of like the opposite side of the argument.
Yeah, maybe we need to look at more of a macro view where it's like we're going to see probably consistent results, and it'll help viewership maintain throughout the second year, and then hopefully we see CDL continually grow. Obviously, in that viewpoint, you're kind of not thinking of the individual player, you're thinking of it as the CDL as a whole. So, some people are going to get screwed over.
But I can see why like Octane or Slasher, who are like literally putting all of their chips in the bag for a LAN champs run, are now like, seriously, dude.
No chance now.
No chance now.
Yeah.
So you can see why, I mean, I guess we could transition to the next piece of news, why they might do what they did. Why they might just do what they do and pick up 2 people. So the roster lock was yesterday, the 6th, which for you 2 days ago. Now, if you will be listening to it, on Monday was roster lock. And there was a lot of news on Sunday night, going into the Monday morning that like, okay, OpTic's making something happen here. They're cooking in the kitchen right now. They're trying to make something happen here. And it sounds like, from all we know, it's basically confirmed that Draza and Hollow are going to be headed to OpTic Gaming to potentially replace, well, we know for a fact that
Chino's gone.
Is benched. And it sounds like from all that we've seen, and like the scrims and Dashy hasn't been on the team, it's Dashy is the one that got the short end of the stick somehow.
I never would have thought.
Who would have thought, bro, going into this season that we would see a world where Dashy was benched by the end of the year? And it's very likely that's what actually happened. I mean, where are you at with this? Because
I mean, coming from last year, if I would have told you, hey, by the way, next year, Gunless, Dashy, Looney, those guys are not going to be on the starting roster. Enable. Like, I would have been like, okay, you're crazy.
You're
like,
insane.
You're dumb.
Mox. Yeah, Mox too.
But
after Black Ops 4, you're like, no way.
There's no way. But here we are seeing these big names. Are we getting like? So it's like there's no chance that Gunless and them get on a team now, right?
Nope, no chance. If it's gonna happen, it's on the Huntsmen, but it ain't happen on the Huntsmen.
Wow. So
Gunless is chalk for the rest of the season.
That's crazy.
Probably.
However, like you said, I get it. You're seeing Florida pick up Awakening and then just dominate. You have these guys that are so comfortable online and don't need to worry about a LAN performance and showing themselves up, whatever it is, that we're seeing improvements coming from these AM players. So it totally makes sense for the league. Like, Florida even tweeted out like a meme, like the league goes online, Florida built a team around online, and then people are like, wait, that's illegal. Like,
that's illegal.
I mean, that's just the smart thing to do. That's the business move to make. So it makes sense, but it's just crazy to think that Chino and Dashy are. I mean, I think some people did think Chino would end up on the bench before Champs.
Yeah, 100%.
But Dashy is just mind blowing to me. I would have thought for sure to have been TJ.
Okay, I mean, like with Dashy, I mean, we'll talk about Hollow and Drazzy here in a second, but like Dashy, I mean, do you think that was his decision? Or was it Slash? I mean, does Tej do that to Dashy?
I know. Like, you gotta wonder, is it like a Slasher / Mud Dog like combo of Kenny maybe?
I don't feel like Kenny would make that type of play though. It'd be
Slasher.
Dashy
must have had to been like the worst person to practice with, considering how bad
him and Slasher's play styles clash.
Just clash so much. Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like we're seeing a lot more emphasis on like the vibes that players will bring, and like, but Dashy's just been like a good player. Like,
he's been solid this whole year.
He's been solid, and so.
And like he's had like a few down events, but I mean like naturally with how that team's been playing, you don't expect it.
Absolutely.
And then like this new meta plays to the favor of playing with 2 ARs on all maps. Like you could actually justify, like if you just picked up 2 SMGs, you could justify running, and like let's say you bench Tej, and you justify running Dashy and Slasher as full-time ARs on every single map with the M4 in hand, and that could potentially work.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they're ditching that.
It's crazy.
Interesting.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to think, honestly, because, again, like we said, we're seeing improvements come from these pickups, so if OpTic Gaming start improving, a bunch, then I guess it was worth it. But, again, it's just so weird to say that Dashy is not on the Champs team.
I know. It's insane.
It's just wild.
It is insane. Yeah, I mean, like, Draz and Hollow, they've been on UIU for basically this whole year. Like going back, I mean, they've had success basically since the beginning. I mean, at the beginning of the year, they've been teaming. Let me confirm how long they've been teaming here. They've been teaming since it looks like maybe it's somewhere in here somewhere. I think they've been teaming since like March. So, yep, there you go. When he joined UIU, when Hollow joined UIU, it was then at that point Drazza and Hollow on UIU at the beginning of March. They've been teaming for about 4 months now. And moving forward, because, Hollow before that was jumping around between a lot of different squads, he played with Mac for a little bit there. He played at launch weekend with Mac on Hybrid Black, who got top 2. Because that team originally was Max, Stamino, Cells, Charles, and Hollow. And then, a few months later, in March, that's when Hollow joined UIU with Cells, Infamous, Drazza, and Rex. And they kind of been doing their thing. I mean, it sounded like OpTic was kind of trying out the whole squad. Like, they're just, like, sifting through guys, trying them out. And that's when we saw Dashy playing Warzone while OpTic was scrimming.
Yeah,
and you're like, wild. What is happening?
What's going on?
What is going on here? So we're not exactly sure which players are replacing which players specifically, but we know it is Drazza and Hollow. And we imagine we know for a fact Chino's gone, and we'd imagine it's going to be Dashy.
Yeah.
So there is a world, though, if they don't feel like this roster's working, where, they end up switching back because they don't they don't play again until the next home series in London. So
yeah,
where they have an incredibly difficult bracket because they start off, well, not incredibly difficult, but they start off against the Mutineers. Then you're playing the loser of London Royal Ravens, Surge if you lose to the Mutineers. So not an easy bracket by any means. Yeah. And basically a must succeed tournament for OpTic Gaming at the end of the year here, and so there's a lot on the line for them moving forward.
Yeah, honestly crazy, but yeah, again, I think we could see an improvement just based on how consistent they've been in the M. So
I mean, it's interesting because you bring them both from the same squad where they've had that kind of like that chemistry together.
Yeah.
So like, how will that translate to this dynamic now when you add that to Kenny and Tej and Slasher?
Which maybe Slasher just takes over and they hopefully listen.
And Slasher does have a good understanding of this game and actually gets it. But if he really did, would they be better already?
I know.
I don't know. I mean, again, they haven't been terrible. They've been competitive.
Yeah.
For sure. Except against Toronto.
Again, I can't believe they got 50-point clubbed. Holy crap.
Tough, bro. Tough. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, overall, if you had to bet money on it, I mean, are they improved?
I think so.
You're betting on them improving by benching Dashy.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's crazy to say, but just look at the stats of everyone who's picked up an AM player. It's just like, I don't know.
I mean, again, teams who make a roster change
have improved.
They basically win the tournament they make their roster change for. I mean, a Dashy who doesn't want to play maybe just isn't, it's worth it. Yeah. And you replace them with guys who are playing for their career. Like, I mean, if Hollow and Draza, they play great, they're getting spots next year on a team, especially if there's an expansion.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if there's an expansion, which is, again, 50-50 chance.
Like, I think if you make the comparison of a Dashy who might be a little toxic and doesn't want to play versus 2 AMs that are kind of hungry for it and want to play it, I think you can
justify the improvement.
Not sound crazy by saying, you're by benching Dashy and Chino and picking up 2 AMs, you improve.
You're actually getting better.
Yeah.
By benching 2 multi-champions.
Jeez. Again, just wild times overall. Like, it's crazy. Never I thought the first year of CDL would have gone like this.
I know. Legit. I mean, that's an understatement, to say the least. Obviously, you also want to talk about, like, just remind you guys that Alex is back for the Rokkr, of course, because he was, on injured reserve or injured leave. Now he's back with his strained thumb. Most stereotypical gamer injury of all time.
Shout out to Aches for that AW tournament where you play with a bloody thumb.
Yeah, bloody thumb, bro. Fighting through the flu game for Aches. But, all right. Classic. Toronto. Speaking of Toronto.
Jeez.
Our OpTic's arch nemesis.
Yeah.
Toronto. They're back at it again with these roster changes. So it looks like Classic is in for Metals again at this point. So Metals is back on the bench. Classic's back in. So we did, get some clarity on like why their roster changes so much, and it's because none of the players are the ones making these decisions at all. So on the CODcast, I mean, no free shout-outs. Obviously,
never,
of course. The Methods was basically asked like, "Yo, what's up with these changes?" He's like, "Bro, I can't talk about it. I'm not saying anything because it's not up to me at all." And it's like literally. Management takes care of all of it. It ain't us. So, so the Toronto's management takes care of literally all of it. I mean, how do you feel about that?
For immediate reaction is, I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
I get it in the sense of where you're trying to be like a sports team where the players literally don't have any say.
General manager, the coach, they do everything.
However, we're playing Call of Duty, really esports in general, is just such a new, and like when I say new, I know it's 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Really, you're seeing like the players that started with Call of Duty, some of them are still playing.
Oh, I know.
And so the people that have the most knowledge are really players.
For the most part.
Obviously, like you got some really incredible, talent like Rambo and Crowder and those guys who are not playing, who are, coaching.
And coaching now.
But to not be able to like to not have the players have any say in that just seems
right.
weird.
So, I mean, Toronto, their management is Wisdom, aka his name is Dominique Gelanu. I'd imagine Gelanu. He's French, maybe some French Canada action there.
Yeah,
and Marky B, the man himself. So they're out there making a lot of those decisions, which is interesting.
It really is.
I mean, again, like you're sitting there and you're telling Looney that a dude who's, one of the winningest players of all time. And
incredible talent,
successful
too.
player. I mean, even Methods, even though he's still young, I mean, he's been playing for a long time now.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting there telling them, like, all right, well, we know more than you.
Like, sorry, even I don't care who you think you have chemistry with. I don't care who you think you play better with. Doesn't matter.
Like, maybe they're having some discussion. I mean, imagine they're you have to at least imagine they're talking to him a little bit.
You would hope so. If
like,
not, that's just dumb. If not.
Yeah.
But if it is true, not sure if it's 100% confirmed if Classic is in for medals. It's just like, why? That's the wrong person to sub out. Why would not sub it in Bance? Like, subbing out Bance. Medals has been a good player in Toronto. It just seems like they make good substitutes, but then they substitute out the wrong people. I don't know. It's just such a weird overall, like, you have 10 players.
Well, I mean, Classic shouldn't have got benched in the first place.
No,
we literally were talking about that. We're like, why is Classic getting benched?
Never should have been benched. He was one of the average to above average players on that team. He was not the problem on that team.
He was consistently solid.
Yes.
And we were like, what?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. And so now you look at that and you're like, yeah, it did not make sense. From the start, it didn't make sense. And so, I mean, I'm not shocked at all to hear that he's actually coming back. Yeah. It's just a little bit more surprising than it's for medals.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Overall. So, I mean, how do you feel about that? Again, we're going to be talking about them in our predictions, but...
Yeah, I am really happy to see Classic back. I think he deserves to be on the starting spot.
Yeah.
Again, it's just... it's weird that we heard that this team is not... the players aren't really making decisions.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then B, I think Medals also deserves a spot. And so to have him not be there, it's just like, it's almost like a lateral move, sort of.
I mean, it's the pros and cons of having the massive roster like that. You have that flexibility, but at the same time, like, don't you want to just kind of figure it out with that team of 5
especially,
when you're like a month out from Champs?
Especially with Champs. You want to figure it out now. You want to have them be playing together every single day now. And not worry about, hey, whatever. So yeah,
it's weird. I mean, with the whole meta now. I mean, maybe we talk about that a little bit in the news, I guess. I mean, it seems to be ironing itself out.
Yeah.
The only kind of question mark right now seems to be the AUG. And like where it's at with pros. I mean, the clip, the
fries,
the Priesta clip was just like. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, basically there's a clip where Priesta was using the AUG in a scrim, I'd imagine, and it literally killed him. Like, it looked like a bullet.
A bullet or two, like a bullet and a half.
Yeah. It looked like it literally shot 4 bullets at once. And you're just like, what just happened? Like, what did we just watch?
Doesn't make any sense.
And so, I don't know, like, what's up with that? I mean, in scrims, it looks like the majority of players are using MP5s. And so it's back to the MP5 and M4 meta with the nerfed no stock for the M4 and the very nerfed MP5. And so you got no 10mm ammo anymore because that was GA'd.
Yeah.
You've got no 41mm ammo for the Uzi because that was GA'd. So people were playing with the Uzi. The Uzi was nasty. It was nice.
It was really good.
It was really, really good, and pros were loving it. And like a lot of pros were hyping it up. And then the pros decided this thing's might be worse than might be honestly better than the MP5.
Yeah, might be a worse meta for.
It might be a worse meta. Yeah. So then there was a whole debate with GAs that lasted for like 3 days. And because the AM scene led the charge, which was weird. So the AM scene kind of parasite was like, yo, we're GAing all of the ammo attachments and the knife. now we're talking.
The knife is no more.
The higher up AMs were trying to GA this knife, and Wuskin was like, you are not touching my knife.
There's no way.
There is no way. Wuskin was like, I'm about to break all GAs unless I get my knife.
Oh my god!
So Wuskin was about to be pissed.
Yeah.
And so apparently the pro players decided, nah, we're not GAing the knife. That's a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna stick with GAing the ammo at this point. The only frustrating thing, I mean, I imagine you agree, these GAs, like it makes sense for the CoD League, but like it's so frustrating because now you play the CDL playlist and you want to play with GAs, but everyone else is out here freaking using Merc 4, not now I guess, but using the ammo, they're using all the non-GA things, and it's just like, or all the GA things, and they're using them. It's just really, really frustrating that the CDL can't like update their rule set to match the GAs and like all that overall.
Yeah, I mean that's just where a ranked player, a developer that cares about competitive would be really nice right now.
It's just,
but at the same time too, it's like our GA is kind of crazy right now. I don't know, but no, I think again, it was just such a weird update. 3 months left in the game with the whole MP5 nerf and everything to begin with. But yeah, no, I think we're pretty much back to the MP5 M4 like you said.
But it sounds like you're leaning. A lot of teams are liking the 2 AR meta consistently now instead of just on certain maps.
Yeah, which is cool to see.
And I think running a 3 AR meta on Cave is very, very viable now.
Yeah.
And so, excuse me, I think that's a very, very plausible. I think we're gonna be seeing that a lot. I think this weekend.
Definitely.
But it'll be interesting to see if any teams end up pulling out the AUG. I don't know if they will or not.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that'd be really interesting because it's. Do you think it could be GA'd like with the pros, or do you think it's just not?
I don't know because normally they would GA it.
They would say something.
Anything that's like not fully falling in line, they'll GA. But they didn't GA the Uzi when like Envoy was using it.
True.
And so I don't know. Maybe not. But I'm not convinced that they would avoid GAing it either.
No.
So
yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited to see how it plays out. That's one of the more exciting things about this weekend is kind of seeing how that meta falls into place. Because I mean, it feels like this GA update and everything else really favors M4s. If they weren't already eating up the KDs and the leaderboards, I'd imagine they're going to be eating up those leaderboards even more now.
Definitely.
And so I don't know. That's where I'm really, really interested to see how that plays out with the meta and how it affects squads and the predictions for this weekend.
Predictions could get wild. We'll see.
Could you imagine talking about predictions right now?
I know.
That would be crazy.
That would be a big brain move, don't you think?
That'd be a pretty big brain move. So let's talk some predictions.
Let's do it.
Bang! The best in the game. We're talking about it right now. We're going to be going through the predictions today and going through it all. So, Rex is not here.
He's not.
But he is here in heart.
Yes.
He does have his predictions filled out there. So, look at those spoilers.
Whoa.
Look at those spoilers.
Who did that?
Big time spoilers.
Wow.
Jeez. I mean, it's embarrassing, Rex. Giving away all your picks before we even start? Like, bruh, how amateur of you.
What are you doing?
What are you doing, dude? But, all right. So, we're going to talk about all the predictions right now and go through them one by one here like we normally do. Talk about them. Dig through the bracket.
Yes.
This is a weird bracket. They're going to need to figure out a way. I've already seen people discussing like how the bracket should not be organized like this next year because it's just, you get some pretty unfair things here at the end of the year. And you look at the bracket here, guys. I mean, you're seeing this right here on YouTube. We got Paris versus Ultra and FaZe versus LAG in Group A. So you got Paris, Ultra, and LAG paired with FaZe in Group A. In Group B, you've got London, Chicago, New York, and the Minnesota Rokkr. So you've got, 3 of the top 6 teams
pretty much
in the bottom, or 4 of the top 6 teams in the bottom bracket. And 1 of the top 7 teams in the top bracket?
That's so true. 1 of the top 7.
Maybe.
Oh, crap.
So, maybe you need to look at how this thing is organized a little bit here.
Oh, gosh.
Because I do think at some point, I saw this talking about Twitter, but I can't remember who was talking about it. But like maybe like next year you start off, let's say you have the exact same format, 8 teams per, same format, which I'd rather, it'd be nice to experiment with some new formats.
Yeah.
But like where maybe for the first cycle where everyone plays, 2 series. So the first 3 home stands are predetermined for like the most fair, everyone plays everyone type situation. And then after that, it's seeded based off of standings.
That'd be interesting. Because then you give it 3.
Yeah.
At least like have some sort of like people play a lot, and so it's like the seeds make sense.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that.
Maybe, but like my only question with seeding it off standings is like, then does it become unfair? We're like, man, we just got screwed in this first 3 weeks.
The first week,
and now we have to play. This year been like play FaZe every thing, FaZe or Empire every like. If you're LAG, you're literally playing FaZe or Empire every single event.
Yeah, and that could get boring to watch from a viewer standpoint.
Yeah,
maybe.
so like that's the debate. So we'll see, but that's for another day, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's talk predictions here.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go through it. Let's start with the Paris Ultra match.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did talk a little bit about this at the beginning. We talked about all these matches here at the beginning with the whole midnight shout out midnight odds. But who do you got here?
Man,
Rex has the Ultra.
Yeah, he has the Ultra. I wouldn't count either team out here.
Yeah,
obviously, especially with the new meta. Things could change.
That's the thing, man. It's a curveball. It's a curveball.
Yeah. I think you go to who do you really not trust? And I really don't trust Paris. Ultra has been, showing some sign of life more than Paris, and so for that reason, I'm choosing Ultra. I'm out.
And for that reason.
I'm out. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go Ultra here.
Yeah, they have a clean sweep as well. I'm gonna go Ultra as well. I mean, the new roster is interesting. I think bringing Classic back overall helps them. So in that situation, playing Paris, I feel pretty good about that, and that's why I'm definitely going Ultra here. All right, FaZe LAG. I mean, I'd like to hear the argument, someone arguing LAG. I mean, again, they looked competitive with their new roster.
They did.
And, like, that's why the bet at the beginning of the show was interesting. Because it's like, I mean, they're such massive underdogs here.
Yeah.
The bet is interesting with Saints now in the starting lineup, and that whole roster. Vivid looked pretty good. Decimate, Blast, and you got Aqua there, who is the second best name in the CDL based off the last video. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the video I did, but one of the best names in the CDL.
Yes.
I mean, FaZe, right? It's interesting. LAG's fun.
They're fun, but Midnight, give me my 1.14 odds.
Give me my $1, bro. Let's go. Okay.
Yeah,
So that lines up some Paris versus LAG action in the losers bracket, and that lines up Ultra versus FaZe for all of us here in the winners side of things. So we got Ultra versus FaZe. Rex has FaZe. I mean, reasonable, but Ultra has pushed FaZe to the brink here.
They have. And so
took him round 11?
What would be interesting to see is if bringing Classic back makes a big difference, and then B, maybe the meta favors Ultra, which you would assume methods and Classic would be SMG.
Yeah,
you probably have
maybe you have Bance.
I don't know. So maybe
Cammy.
It's hard. Like the tides with this turn strongly for Ultra here. But again, I think FaZe is just gonna take it here.
Yeah, I think there's a world where this could go horribly wrong for FaZe.
Definitely.
But I'm pretty confident in them at this point, even though the new meta, it's a curveball for FaZe because they were so comfortable on the old meta, and like their team made so much sense on the old meta. So I'm a little hesitant, but I mean, I would be shocked if FaZe lost this at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Especially a tournament where it's like they are. This is a big for a tournament for all the teams really at the end of the day because standings and seeding at champs, but like FaZe is trying to get this top 2 seed to get a bye into the quarters for champs. So that is massive.
It is. Yeah. No. I again, having that 1 or 2 seed is huge in the champs. So definitely big.
Yep. So that lines up
Paris and LAG
for all of us here again. Which again, interesting. Rex has LAG beating Paris, which I think isn't crazy.
It's not crazy.
Not crazy at all.
No. Question is,
I'm feeling pretty good about that as well. I think I'm gonna go LAG.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Do I try? Nah.
You trying to be different here?
No. Here.
We're all in agreement.
Yeah.
What usually ends up happening is that we're pretty much in agreement till like the last few picks here normally, but
No, absolutely.
it's kind of how these are lined up.
And again, too, if you remember, LAG was a mantle away from 3-0 in FaZe.
Basically.
But, you know,
again, they've shown promise, and they get their rematch
yeah.
in that first. It's interesting.
It is. Like, again, with like the amount of game vibes we have seen,
Yeah.
it isn't crazy that any team besides a few take games, right? So, yeah, it really is. But I think, yeah, LAG for sure here for me. And
now,
then,
okay, this might be where Rex took the Ultra here.
he did, which I'm leaning towards LAG.
Yeah, Ultra versus LAG here in the to get out of the group.
Yeah. There is a world where maybe Ultra, with all the roster changes, they don't have the best chemistry. So, you know, maybe Classic comes back and doesn't perform.
And LAG, you got Saints, you got Decimate, you got Vivid looking pretty good last tournament.
In the interest of it, I'm going to take LAG.
I might take LAG as well.
Yeah.
But I like the Ultra roster a lot, though.
Definitely.
This is one, somehow, I mean, you know, LAG versus Toronto has turned into a really, really fun matchup for me here. I think I'm going to take LAG as well, which is, I didn't actually expect myself to do that going into the conversation, but after thinking about it more, I think I like that a lot.
Definitely a good pick.
But so that means all of us have FaZe getting out, Rex has the Ultra, and we both have, me and Sam both have LAG getting out. So we got FaZe and LAG. Rex has FaZe and Ultra getting out of Group A here, heading down to Group B.
This is where it gets juicy.
This is juicy. Some juicy meatballs here.
Really. It really is.
You got London versus Chicago. You've got New York versus Minnesota Rokkr.
Yeah. Wow. I'm surprised Rex. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I'm a little surprised at Rex's grouping here.
Taking a little. Oh wow, yeah, taking a little glancy down there.
Take a little glancy.
It's a little surprising.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk London and Chicago first.
Yes.
Rex has Chicago.
Yeah. This is not an easy pick.
No.
Last time they met, Chicago beat them. Am I mistaken by saying that?
No. Yeah, they did.
Okay. So the question is, Chicago have been looking pretty good with the new meta.
Yeah.
But London is a very strong team.
Yeah, I mean, London last tournament lost 3-2 to Dallas. Then they lost. Then they beat Toronto. I'm sorry. Then they beat Paris 3-1. Then they lost 3-0 to Dallas.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, they're somewhere in there. They're a contender every week in and week out, but I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I have a lot of confidence going into this tournament with Chicago, especially based after their scrims lately with the Mutineers and with Dallas.
Yeah.
Where they looked pretty good overall. Like,
which makes sense.
I mean, I think vetoes are going to be the X factor again. So once we see that map, those maps play out, then it'll be a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
But I'd expect Chicago to win this one.
I know. I have a hard time not picking Chicago.
I'm going with Chicago.
Yeah. Sorry for all picking Chicago. But
I know.
It's going to be.
It's tough, man. It's tough to go against the grain in these. 'Cause it's like all logic points to Chicago winning this.
But again, sometimes logic is just...
And online logic sometimes isn't always
logic
there.
is just weird.
It's weird. It's definitely weird. All right, so we got Rokkr versus New York here. Rex has New York.
Yeah.
Beating the Rokkr, which is very interesting.
Here, we haven't seen a lot from Rokkr.
No, I mean, nothing from Rokkr.
No.
But again, last time, Alex.
Yeah. So, do we see enough of a increase from Alex's return that they can overtake Mac Melts? Because really Mac Melts is just leading this team, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think New York take it. I think they take it pretty handily. I don't know. Rokkr just hasn't looked good even when they had Alex on the roster.
They lost 3-1 to New York or 3-1 to Dallas with when Alex was there.
Yes.
Then Alex left, and then they lost 3-2 to Seattle.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, I think here, I think New York take this one, which again Rex does have too. But
yeah, I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement, man. I'd imagine Like, it will be really, really surprising. The Ice Cube is right now on point.
Yeah, Ice Cube is just nice and icy.
He's icy, bro.
Yeah, he is.
He's icy, man. It's crazy. He's just dripping
Rokkr.
over there.
Dang.
Poor guy.
Okay.
Let's go.
This is where I think I'm surprised Rex picked Chicago, honestly. I feel like he would have been put more emphasis
he
on
has
Mac
been pretty
Melts.
down on New York.
Yes.
He's been down on Chicago lately. So it is a little bit surprising. I would have loved to hear
his
old
thoughts.
Ice Cube's thoughts.
I know. Here though, man.
I don't know. I mean, who are you thinking?
So
this is I think the Chicago New York series is so interesting.
Really is. I would think accuracy here is your X factor.
Okay.
I feel like if he is performing well, along with how everyone else has been performing,
especially with this new AR meta,
with new AR meta, I think New York could take this.
But I mean, like, if you're going AR v AR here with the AR meta, I mean, you're putting your money on formal and Arcities.
Yeah. So
I don't know, man. I think this meta makes a lot of sense on paper for the Huntsmen because it just solidifies that you can let your two insane ARs just run around with the ARs and be confident with it.
Yeah.
Maybe put on like a faster setup for some of the smaller maps and just kind of go ham and see what happens. I think it can work. I think it'd be really, really good.
No, absolutely.
I think Huntsman fans should be excited about this new meta.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I'm gonna go Chicago.
Yeah. I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm saying New York here.
Wow. Okay.
Just in the interest of keeping it a little spicy, and I do
Spicies.
think. I think it's a possibility.
Yeah.
It's definitely not out of the realm of possibility.
No, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. Yeah. I mean, last time we saw them, they beat the Huntsmen beat them 3-1. That was back in May though, so it'd been a minute.
Yeah, true.
It's been like a month. It's been like 6 weeks, probably.
So, yeah, and there's always a possibility of a Huntsman breakdown. Just sometimes it just happens.
It does. Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm about it. I love anything that gets a little spicy around here. So that lines up a New York versus. We don't have that. We haven't decided yet. We have London versus Rokkr here. Yeah. All three of us have London versus Rokkr to go play against New York for myself and for Rex. Rex has the Rokkr beating London, and Sam's trying to pick to see who goes face off against Chicago here.
Yeah, Rokkr beat London, really? Wow.
Yeah, Rex has Rokkr beating London, which is really interesting. Yeah,
I honestly think this would be a pretty clear game of London winning.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page.
I mean, I guess if you're putting a lot of weight on Alex's return, and then you're just not confident in London's ability, and I don't know. It seems to me that London is just the stronger team here.
Yeah.
Nothing much to it there, I guess.
I mean, this meta could help London. I mean, Shawnee, he's kind of been the weak link.
Yes, he has.
And like playing that AR role, if you can get the right maps, I bet it helps them overall.
I think so too.
Because if you got Weskins just dominating, it could work.
Absolutely, Dan.
And it's kind of interesting. I don't know if I'm putting too much weight on the ARs here, but because I got the London versus New York matchup here. If you look at the bracket. So if Rex or Sam took London as well, so Sam's got Chicago versus London. Rex has New York versus Rokkr, and Rex has the Rokkr beating New York.
Man, I feel like this is him like just going for it.
What in the world? It's like he doesn't. Wow. Okay.
What's interesting here is, again, we love to have his thoughts, but I'm pretty sure there was a podcast recently where he said he's given up on the Rokkr, of giving up hope.
And he was giving up on Chicago. Yeah. So he's like going full against his like.
Maybe he's had a.
Are we sure Rex is the one who filled this one out?
Maybe
did he get hacked?
Did he get hacked? Maybe he had a vision and
maybe enlightenment
of Rocker's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Now that would be interesting to see if they were just come out
Rex
just fire.
Nails this bracket, 15 of 15 or whatever. Respect.
Should we do a hottest operators bet on it?
Wait, we do. Wait, I forgot. We do have one for this.
Do we?
If New York... Wait, he picked against it. He's hedging his bets here.
Is he really?
Because if New York goes farther than Chicago, we do hottest operators.
Okay.
Because that was what the bet was.
That was, wasn't it? Okay. Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
He's hedging his bets.
He is.
So that if he's wrong, at least he's right.
Rex, you're in a win-win position here, aren't you?
Wow, we see through the lies of the Jedi. It's embarrassing, Rex.
That's actually amazing.
You're melting.
We did update our picture to a melting.
I need to get like a melting effect.
That was so great.
Just a puddle.
Oh gosh. Okay, yeah.
Well, that's fun. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Let's get spicy real quick now.
That would be fun to watch. But for me, Chicago versus London.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take. Oh man, so this means that they're gonna play twice in a row. I was gonna say Chicago right away, but it's hard to beat a team twice. Dang.
You're putting yourself in a tough spot here.
Did.
You're putting yourself right in the hottest operator's hotbed.
I know, because I was thinking Chicago's gonna lose New York, and then they're just gonna come back through pretty easily. But I didn't think about this. I'm okay. You know what? I'm Chicago.
You double up.
I'm doubling up. I think it's possible.
You believed in London last event.
I really did.
I think you might have been one event early, bro.
I think so.
I got London beating New York here. I think I've convinced myself on this new meta that London's going to be nasty. I'm not convinced about New York, Mac Melts. I don't know if you can rely on those SMGs as much anymore now with the battle. They're not going to win those battles against those, against those ARs as much as they did before.
Yeah.
That might set up for some failure. I don't know.
Yeah, no, this is really interesting. We all have a different.
So things got a little spicy there in Group B.
That's fun. That's fun.
Now this is where the fun begins.
Yes, it is.
I can quote it all day, baby. FaZe. So that FaZe, Rex has FaZe v Rokkr.
I finally had the Chicago FaZe matchup.
Oh,
this would be super interesting. Anyways.
One day we'll get the Chicago FaZe matchup, man. It'll happen one day. So Rex has FaZe v Rokkr and Chicago versus Ultra. I have FaZe v London and Chicago versus LAG. And Sam.
I've got FaZe versus Chicago and then New York versus LAG.
So there's the matchups there. If you guys are watching on YouTube, there we got. So Rex has FaZe beating the Rokkr, punching their ticket to the grand finals. And now, Sam, you have FaZe v Chicago. You got the matchup we've been waiting for.
Do. Oh.
Coming off of a Chicago loss to New York.
So, goodness. The question is, does the meta change favor Chicago so much and then hinder a little bit of FaZe?
But, I mean, now you can basically guarantee that, Major Maniac and Celium are going to be running ARs consistently.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, I think it's a good thing. Man. Honestly, I think I would have to say FaZe would take it.
Wow.
I think so.
You're not that confident in Chicago, really.
I'm not. Maybe it's just because I didn't watch enough of their scrims here. To me, I know they're a strong team. I know they're a top 4 or 5 team. There's something that just doesn't scream to me like they're just completely there yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've shown a lot of weakness. FaZe has shown a lot of weakness too. Don't get me wrong, but I think FaZe has shown that they can clutch up more than Chicago.
Interesting.
That's kind of my mindset there.
With the new roster, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's tough, bro. I might end up in a similar situation here. I'm not sure. I mean, this is a pretty massive tournament for the Huntsmen, though.
It really is.
Because if you look at the standings here, I mean, they're at 190 points, tied with Empire.
Yep, they're tied.
10 points behind the Mutineers, 40 points behind FaZe. So you're trying to get a top 2 spot here. So really, what you're battling is the Empire and Mutineers.
Yeah.
The problem is that you're at this event where the Mutineers and Dallas aren't at, which is big for you. For the Huntsmen. But then next week they're at both Mutineers and Empire at an event that they're not at. So, that makes the event massive. And at the end of the year, you've got all 3 of them. You've got literally the top 4 teams there. You've got FaZe, you've got Empire, you've got Mutineers, and the Huntsmen. So the last event is going to be nuts, absolutely nuts. But these events are massive and a lot of pressure on the line. especially for like FaZe has got to feel at least feeling decently comfortable.
You would think so
right now at this point, because I mean, basically they would have to like get O2'd
to
really be in big trouble.
Which is definitely not going to happen with their group.
It's not. It's not going to happen. So I don't know, man. I think Chicago. Okay, so I'm gonna have FaZe beating London. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I got FaZe beating London. I'll go back to the bracket here for you guys on YouTube. I got FaZe beating London, and that gets us down to the Chicago versus LAG match for myself, and the New York LAG match for Sam.
Yeah.
For yourself.
Yep. And then for me, I think New York will just take this. I think LAG would put up a fight for sure. But
if New York's coming out hot like that, beating Chicago, that means they're in good shape.
I think so. Yeah. I feel pretty confident in that.
Right.
Again, though, LAG's shown good signs of life.
Yeah, I mean, the other side of the argument is like, does the meta change help teams who need a better AR or hurt teams who don't have a good AR?
Yeah. Because then you think like,
if you're relying on your SMGs, you're nerfed.
You're nervous about that. Like you would, if you're relying on your SMGs, it's probably gonna hinder you. If you have a flex that plays a better AR,
that's where it really helps.
That's where it really helps you.
See, so my thought is like Empire, which is a side conversation because they're not here. But like Empire, with Crim, does Crim just stop running SMG now and just only run AR?
That'd be interesting.
I would imagine, because I mean, he's obviously the worst SMG on that team.
Yeah.
I feel a lot more comfortable with Crim as an AR at full time. So that's a thought for the future here with Empire. All right, Chicago LOG for myself. I actually believe in Chicago quite a bit going into this tournament.
Yeah.
And that lines up the match for myself and for Rex, because Rex has Chicago beating the Ultra. So Sam has FaZe New York, Rex has FaZe Chicago, and I have FaZe Chicago as well.
Yeah.
So as the odd man out here,
yes,
fire away, dude.
Yeah.
FaZe New York.
Yeah. I think if FaZe comes off of beating Chicago, which I did have Chicago losing to New York.
Yep.
So this would potentially be a harder match for FaZe. I don't know. I feel like FaZe, the matchups here against New York, even though we did see New York was a 100-point club them on, what was it?
Petro.
Petro.
Yep.
I still think FaZe would take it. And
right. I mean, that's the thing. Like with FaZe, FaZe beat the Subliners 3-2 in the last event. And, it feels like FaZe did not play a good event because of how bad their grand final was against the Mutineers.
I know.
But like, they beat New York. First they beat Toronto 3-2, then they beat New York 3-2, and then they beat Empire 3-2. So they beat three of the three really solid teams.
Clutched up game 5. Yeah.
And then they just go get smoked in the finals versus Mutineers. But
absolutely.
It's just like all of us have like a sour taste in our mouths.
I know for FaZe.
But like they played so good in the tournament.
They played so well, and then now you're taking out Mutineers. It's like just like letting them loose without any basically competition.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's just like the past month has just been the Mutineers just storyline.
Yeah.
It just really made us kind of forget how good FaZe can be, maybe.
Yeah.
And just like the Mutineers are the hard counter, I guess, to everyone in the league now.
Pretty much.
But man, I don't know, dude. So you're going FaZe.
I'm going FaZe.
Man.
Rex? Not an easy decision for me.
No.
Yeah.
Rex has FaZe Chicago and he has FaZe. So Rex officially, is full on hedged his bets.
He has.
I mean, he literally had the Rokkr beat New York.
Yes,
that's how little that's how much he's hedging his bets here.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Full on hedged bets.
Really is.
I got Chicago FaZe here. It's really, really tough. I think my head says FaZe, but like based off the hype of like how good Chicago looked in those scrims, it's really telling. And I kind of want to, and like thinking about the metas, it makes sense that it kind of like helps those pieces slide into place a little bit better. the X Factor's pristine in how he plays with that SMG, the nerfed SMG now, and like, is it even worse than it was before? Or like how that plays out specifically. But I'm gonna go with the hype here, which I haven't done like all year. I don't even know if I picked Chicago to win an event this year. Maybe I have. But I'm gonna take Chicago to win the event.
Crazy. So
I completely opposite hedged the bets here.
Yes, you did.
Double down as Chicago knocks out New York and then wins the tournament. So I'm buying into the hype. So in your case, FaZe wins the tournament.
Yep.
Who's your MVP? Gotta go through this.
Jeez, yeah. Again, FaZe is just so...
Is it one of the usual suspects? Is it FaZe? Is it Celium or Simp?
I know. Again, like who... At this point, who else would it be?
I mean, in a buffed AR meta with Celium running an AR, like it's gotta be Celium.
I know.
Right?
To me, it seems like Celium would be the choice here, and I'm gonna take that low hanging fruit.
Yep.
Celium.
Yep. I don't blame you at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Rex. No?
Rex.
Yo.
Where are you at?
What?
Oh, it's an ice cube. It's not Rex.
Not again.
Wow.
I left the refrigerator open, dude.
Dang. It's an ice cube again.
It's a melted joke.
It's like the fifth time.
Nah, but yeah, he has. You know, he probably has Simp.
Yeah.
And I got Chicago. I think I'm gonna go Arcides as the MVP.
That makes sense.
Running that AR now full time. I'm gonna double down on the whole narrative of that meta really helping him that much, and I'm gonna go with Arcides. So there we're at with it, baby. Our first best of 2 podcast today in the books.
Dang.
Draft buff. I didn't even mention it. For all of you absolute legends who made it to the end of the podcast, shout out.
Yeah,
hopefully the league's not full by now. But if it's not, drop down to the comments down below on YouTube and you can join the draft buff for this week. I got the link in the comments, and it's just the draft royale for this week, the community draft royale, and you can pick your players, and it's a blast.
It is.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
For LAG.
Hey, you should change your team this time.
I will, because last time I literally just put in a random team and I had like Chino and Viv, or like Chino and Classic, and I think I had like 30 unspent dollars. So it was tough. I finished like 85th.
Unfortunate.
On things you truly hate
but
to see.
But that means 15 people picked worse than you, so.
There's no way they actually picked our teams. I mean, not. I don't think I could have done worse.
No.
But yeah, so go do that, guys. But we do appreciate you guys tuning in. Obviously, dropping all the reviews down below, or reviews on Apple Podcasts, the comments down below on YouTube. We do appreciate that. And guys, we'll be back at it again. Enjoy the Call of Duty over the weekend. But as always, I'm your host, Josh SalvationsElite. To my right is Sam _Bo3 on Twitter. And to our farthest right is Rex, Melted Ice Cube. And we will see you next time. We out.